Welcome to Acts of Awakening, a series of heartfelt conversations about the roles that we play, the masks that we wear, and the archetypes we embody. Acts of Awakening is a play place to unpack the moments in life that call us to change roles and dissolve masks, individuating us into the next version of ourselves. Together, we will explore the perspective of the cosmic play, inspiring soulful insights and a deeper understanding of the journey of becoming. Host Suri Sawyer is a certified death doula, Reiki healer, yoga guide, ancestral medicine practitioner, and multidimensional psychic. As a walking transmission, equal parts cosmic mirror, soul whisperer, and multidimensional midwife, she embodies the energy of a lucid dream. Soft yet activating, grounded yet infinite. Suri weaves shadow and light without fear. Her essence feels like plant medicine incarnate. Her presence initiates recalibration and an invitation into introspection, remembrance, and sacred revolution. Now here's your host, Suri Sawyer.
Good day, beautiful people. I have been looking forward to the interview that I have scheduled today for a very long time. The person that's coming on to the show today has been an ally, a mentor, and inspiration to me. We just figured out for about 11 years. When I first started my personal journey into coming out into the world as a healer, as an intuitive, he was right there on the path, a few steps ahead of me, and was able to give me guidance that I still hold sacred in my being today. And when I reflect on this person, his name is Mark Romero. Don't worry, I'll read his bio in a second. The archetypical nature that comes up the loudest for me is first the artist. Mark Romero is an incredibly talented musician, and he's also a very wise sage. I'm not the only one that he's been a mentor and teacher to. In fact, he's been able to turn his sageness into part of his career. So I'd like to read to you a little bit about the artist archetype and the sage archetype. Just like every episode, as I read the nature of these archetypes, you're invited to see how it resonates with you. Do you have a loud inner archetype of the artist or the sage? And if you do, what name do you call it by? So we'll start with the artist. The artist archetype. It embodies creativity, self-expression, and innovation. The artist is driven by the desire to explore new ideas. It invokes emotions and transforms inner vision into tangible things, into tangible forms, whether through painting, through music, through writing, or other creative outlets. They value originality, authenticity, and the pursuit of beauty, often seeking to inspire others and challenge the conventional norms. The artist archetype embodies, or rather, the artist archetype encourages embracing your individuality and viewing the world through your unique lens. Now for the sage archetype. The sage archetype represents wisdom, knowledge, and insight. Sages are seekers of truth, often dedicated to the understanding of the deeper meaning of life and the universe. They prioritize learning, reflection, and rational thought, aiming to share their understanding to help others grow intellectually and spiritually. Sages are mentors, teachers, and guides, trusted for their clarity, objectivity, and calm demeanor. This archetype emphasizes discernment, critical thinking, and a lifelong pursuit of wisdom. So our guest today embodies these things so powerfully and so beautifully. And now I would like to introduce him as the human that he is. Mark Romero is a sound alchemist, embodying that sweet artist archetype, and an energetic performance coach who helps conscious leaders and creators unlock their highest potential through the transformative power of music and frequency, blending sound healing, spiritual insights, and a unique transforming energy discovered by a former NASA consultant. Mark empowers seekers to align their energy, awaken their purpose, and become catalysts for transformation in their lives, businesses, and in the world. So that's a little bit about Mark Romero, and I would like to invite him to come on to the show now. Welcome to the show, Mark Romero.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's so good to see you. I mean, after all these years, so I'm excited to be here and excited to see what pathway we go down here, because whatever it is, I'm sure it'll be interesting.
It's going to be really good. Well, I'd like to start by realizing I'm definitely understanding I need reading glasses.
No, don't say that. You're way too young. You're still looking over the edge of the crib. I mean, come on.
Mark, I would hope so. But as I was reading that, I was like, oh no, like it's a little blurry. Any
Oh,
hoodles.
it's hilarious.
Mark, I was really hoping that we could actually start today by you offering to us what it is that you do. Because earlier today, when you and I had a conversation, you were expressing sometimes words are extremely limiting to what we're actually capable of and the messages that we're trying to convey. And so I fully agree with that. Language often obstructs the capacity of our healing nature and our wisdom. So I thought it would be a really cool way for you to introduce yourself by playing for us.
Sure, I would love to. So, one of my favorite pieces, and we can talk a little bit more about what musical mantras are, but is a musical mantra for opening. I think if we really truly embody the power of our intention to begin to shape and shift matter and energy and to begin to create and recreate our lives, we would be, I think, so much more mindful about this innate power and ability that's within us all. So, this piece is kind of like to support all of us opening to that divine unlimited potential that's within us. We're all in the process of unveiling it, no matter where we're at. And I think we're all definitely very dedicated to wanting to unveil more and to live from that place. So this is a beautiful piece and opportunity to just breathe in the notes and set an intention for yourself and decide what it is that you would most like to open to. So this is a musical mantra for opening. Just take some nice deep breaths. So just breathe deeply. Allowing yourself to center into this moment, this time, this space, and to turn your attention inward. Take another deep inhale. Gently breathing in the notes. Allowing yourself to open. And as you continue to breathe, set an intention for what it is you would most love to open from our experience together today. take another deep breath. So just take another deep inhale and just open mouth, let it go. And there you go, a little musical mantra for opening.
Thank you so much, Mark.
My pleasure.
I actually find it difficult to speak after that, which is a funny thing because I'm supposed to interview you now.
If I could just tell you how many times I have done online programs, somebody's interviewed me. They turn off the camera actually, and they go on their way, and I'm done. And I'm like, okay, are they coming back? Are they going to be here? So what you just shared it's the norm. So you're right there.
It felt like sacrilegious to speak after. I was like, should we observe silence for the next 45 minutes?
Sure, why not?
KB, thank you for being here. June, thank you for being here. Charlene, thank you. It's great to see you. And June, I saw you laugh at my glasses comment. And I appreciate that as well. So, Ronnie, it's great to see you, brother. Mark, I have an invested interest as far as asking you questions goes. So I am super curious about your transition from CEO to the person who's sitting in front of me now, because any of us who have ever gone through a transformation, especially as extreme as that, knows that that's not really an easy task, that there was a mask that you were wearing. And I'm sure the ego of the CEO was a strong one. And I'm even trying to imagine you in a suit and tie right now, which I can.
Oh man, it looked good. It looked good.
I bet it did. So will you share with us a little bit about what it was like as the inner artist and the healer musician started to emerge from you out of the CEO?
I think, like many of us, we are presented with a paradigm. This is what you do. You get out of school, you go get a job, you work your way up this corporate ladder thing, however you want to define it. And then, of course, the more money you make and the more bells and widgets you surround yourself with, the happier, more content and fulfilled you're going to be. So that was the model that was really kind of presented to me, obviously in school and growing up. And my father had kind of set that model also. So I took it on, man. I started at entry level, and over the course of, I guess it was probably about 15 years, I started my own business in the garage. And then the following 4 years, it become a multi-million-dollar enterprise. And I'm like going, so I got the home in Southern California, the shiny car and all that good stuff. You would have thought I would have been happy, content, and fulfilled. But really over the last 4 or 5 years of that journey, there began to be these little percolations coming up, that there's something more to life. There's something more that you're here to express. There's something more to the meaning of life rather than just making big commission checks, which, hey, making commission checks is great. But I can tell you honestly, and I've had some really nice ones, they do not provide you with happiness and long-lasting fulfillment. And so I had kind of been dealing with these percolations. My level of satisfaction and happiness was going down. My health was compromised. I was stressed all the time. And, I got to give kudos to my wife, Lara. I come home one night. There she is in the hallway. And at this point in our marriage, she had already mastered the art of communicating so much with just a look. And she had this look. I'm like, oh my God, she's going to hit me with some truth look. And she just told me, she said, I don't care how much money you're making. I look in your eyes and you're dead. When are you going to have the courage to go for the dream? And, like any good husband, you want to find fault with what she said. You want to prove her wrong. But like any really good husband, you realize, dude, what's the point? She's right again. Just own it. It's like 462 to 3 in her favor. Like, who's counting anyways, right? At this point. But she was right. And, I'd done all this. And along with those percolations of dissatisfaction, I had always had this passion and this interest. And that's why I love the sage archetype. I wanted to, when kids wanted to be firemen and policemen, I wanted to be the wise men, for Halloween. Give me one of those sheet things and tie it around my head. Man, I was good. And so there had always been this commitment to do that. And so during those levels of discontent, I'm like going, I want to go out and I want to speak. I want to share a message. This was my actual thought initially, was I wanted to pontificate words of wisdom that would magically change people's lives. And so after that run-in in the hallway, so to speak, I left to pursue that. I went in and told my partners, that's it, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. You can't pay me enough to sacrifice my soul and what I was sacrificing at that point in time. So I finished up my time and I began on my journey to not doing healing work, not even doing music really, was to speak and to step into that kind of like very traditional coach, motivational speaker type role. But as we all know, and if you're tuning into this show, we all know at this point that life has its own magical ability to unfold in the most uncertain, unpredictable ways possible that lead us on journeys we never could have imagined in a million years. And that was certainly the case for myself. So was it terrifying? It was terrifying, but you kind of hit it on the head. I also had an ego, man. And I thought, well, I had done all this stuff here and this business. This is going to be easy. So there was a little bit of blind arrogance that launched me into that. And then little did I know that I'd been strapped into a rocket ship and we were going to take off. And the journey from there, just, whoa. I mean, I'm lucky I have any hair anymore. It's like, I'm surprised it's not all blown off, because it was really a quite an experience in stepping into that and beginning to work through a lot of my own humanity that showed up along the pathway. So this is quite the journey, quite the shift for sure.
May I just say it's a gorgeous head of hair. And
I'll take it.
I'm curious. Okay, so you were expressing that at one point your wife was like, I look in your eyes and you're dead inside.
Yeah.
That's a reflection coming from the outside. Once it was said, could you resonate with that?
Yeah, I couldn't deny it.
Mm-hmm.
Because here I was stressed out all the time. I was in fear. When you're doing multi-million-dollar deals, man, the stress and the tension level go way up. And then on top of that, it also has the ability to bring the good and the ugliness out of humanity around you through competitors and environments and stuff. And I was just done.
Mm-hmm.
I was done. And I think ever since I was a little kid, I always knew that I was here for a purpose and a reason. So I decided to leave and take the leap and hop on the rocket ship, so to speak. Yeah, something like that.
I want to say hi to Michael Zinn and Kay Weezy Jones. We're not doing readings on this show. However, if you stick around, I guarantee that there are nuggets in here that you will benefit from. Not only that, but Mark will play for us later. And whatever it is that you feel like you're seeking in this moment, you can find it within, supported by the music that he creates, and also this really incredible conversation.
Cool.
I gotta know, I've heard this story before, but I vaguely remember it because it was 11 years ago. Will you share with us how it was discovered? Well, what does your music do? And who was it at NASA that was even measuring it that was like, whoa, bro, like, did you know that your music is doing yada, yada, yada?
You know, and this is the funny thing, because when I left, it was not to play music. Now, the interesting thing was, in the last year, so to speak, of my old career, I was in a business mastermind group. And the woman that ran the group, very powerful woman, she used to coach people up on stage, you know, and you wanted to have your activity. This is like old school coaching. This was like get in your face, break you down to open you up type coaching, kind of like est for business. And that's really what it was. So I had accomplished amazing results in this group. And I sent her a thank you card. And I figure, well, why just send a thank you card when you can send one with a CD in it? So I sent her a thank you card with CD. And some months later, I'm up on stage ready to be coached by her. And man, I'm prepared, because you want to be prepared. Okay. First question out of her mouth, Mark, what are you doing with your music? I'm like, nothing. And then she got angry, man. The veins started popping out and stuff. And she just got right in my face. And she goes, let me tell you something, Mr. Romero. There are people that can play, and then there are those that can play with their heart, passion, and soul. She goes, you have that ability. And furthermore, you're ripping off the world by not sharing it. You need to come back with a CD for sale the next meeting, or don't come back at all. You can go sit down now. I didn't even get a chance to rebuttal. I'm dragging myself back to the seat. And you know what? I invested a lot of money in this group. I made a kind of like pre-run CD. Came back the next time. Well, that pre-run CD ended up becoming my first full production CD that I wanted to make just for fun, just to have the experience. And so one night, to answer your question in a long sort of way, I'm playing at a wellness center, a gig that Lara said, hey, you need to go play for this wellness center, you know, and I'm done playing my set. And this woman comes up to me that runs the center. I hear these tones in your music. And I'm looking at her, man, this girl, she's going to get weird. I can tell. I just knew it, you know, at this point in time. I was not fully submerged in the woo-woo at this point in time, you know. And I'm like going, okay. And then she got right up in my face and she goes, and nobody can hear the tones but me. And I'm like going, I'm thinking in my head, I knew it, man. And I go, and, you know, being kind of a smart ass I could be, I said, you know what? I heard some tones too, man. Back in the 80s, listening to Pink Floyd, The Wall, watching the lava lamp with my buddies. We heard some tones. And she goes, no, I'm serious. Give me a CD. I know these scientists. So I'm giving her a CD more so just so she'll leave me alone. And next thing I know, this is almost 20 years ago now, I get invited to a lecture on quantum physics and energy and consciousness. And in this lecture, they're showing how our energy is being disrupted by things that have become so mainstream in the world today. Chemicals, EMFs. I mean, back then there wasn't even Wi-Fi and 5G and all the different stuff we're exposed to today. And they're demonstrating how things we use every day are compromising our energy, compromising our levels of consciousness. And they invited me to come. They asked me to bring the guitar. I figure I'm going to play during break time, donut time or something. But halfway through the lecture, they go, Mark, come up on stage. We want you to play. And I'm playing and I see people's physical energy shift instantly in front of my eyes. And I'm like going, what the heck is this? So here's this guy, Dr. Jones. He was one of those guys with more letters after his last name than the last name itself, PhD, quantum physicist, energy worker. I mean, just amazing background. And I find myself a week later talking to him going, hey, man, we've done preliminary study on your music. You have harmonizing frequencies that are coming through your music that are giving the ability to tune and harmonize listeners' energy fields, preventing them from being negatively impacted by all these vibrational barriers in our environment. Way over my head at that point in time. What? He goes, we want to buy 1,000 CDs from you and start selling them. I'm like, okay, now that I can understand that. I'm not sure about everything else. So that was my beginning to bringing forth music that could help people to reduce stress, enhance their spiritual connection, how their mental functions work, their physicality, put the body into an optimal state for self-healing, and completely unexpected, turn that led me off in a direction I never could have planned for in a million years at that particular point in time.
Wow. What did that do to your ego?
Actually, the first word that showed up when you asked that question, it scared the heck out of me.
That's what I would imagine, is that like none of that was in the framework. I'm hearing tones in your music, Mark Romero.
No, and even before that, I don't know if it was before that. It must have been before that. Lara told me one night, you're a healer, don't you? And I said, you know what? Don't even talk to me about that healing mumbo jumbo stuff. This is before I knew about the music. She already knew. What can I say? I don't get away with anything at home, And it's like, she already knew. I'm like, don't even talk to me about that stuff, man. That's the kind of stuff. They take you out to the backyard, they tie you to a tree, and they set you on fire, man. I don't want nothing to do with that. And of course, I married a doctor of metaphysics. What does she say? I think you might have some past life issues to resolve. If you ever want to send a recovered CEO running down the hallway with his fingers in his ears going, la, 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 I can't hear you, that's what you tell him. And I ran. But if anything I learned that night, no matter how fast you run, you still take yourself with you. So lo and behold, I'm going down the healing path at that particular point in time.
Because everywhere you go, there you are.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Something I'd like to bring forward, this was an experience that I had with you that really set into me at that time. And it goes beautifully with the premise of the show. So one of the things that Carl Jung talks about a lot is listening to the timbre of someone's voice. Mm-hmm. And it's beyond just the timbre of the voice, but through the way someone says a word. It's not even about the words they say. It's about the frequency with which they're speaking it. He says the best reflections or the best mirrors are actually going to listen to the timbre of your voice over the words you say, because that's more telling often than the words that you say. And you and I met for coffee about 11 years ago. And I was sharing about different parts of my life. And I shared this one little part of my life. And you looked at me and you were like, when you started talking about this, something's off there. And long story short, it was about my marriage. I've been divorced now for 9 years. So, but you picked up something the moment that I started to speak about my relationship, you were like, whoa. And it wasn't what I said. It wasn't my facial expressions, but it was the timbre of my voice. And you picked up on it right away. But you also delicately knew, you're like, I'm not going to touch that right now, but I am going to reflect to you that something was off in the way your voice sounded when you spoke about this topic. And so I'm curious about the evolution of your awareness about the way people speak and what it means to you as the person on the receiving end of hearing their timbre, their voice, their words.
I would have to say it's actually even hearing their energy. It's almost like, okay, sound is a certain frequency. The people say things. Oh, I'm going to do this. But there's always a subtone, and that subtone, which over the years I realized I could hear. People would say things. I'm like you're a perfect example. Okay, you're saying that, but you're not in alignment with it, And so I started being able to really, what I was hearing was, let's say somebody said they would want to create something, for example, but they had an underlying belief structure that said, I believe I'm powerless, or I don't deserve to have that. So it would create a disharmonious interaction. So they weren't in alignment. And if you're not in alignment, you're not going to create what you want to be able to create. Mm-hmm. So it was something that way back then was still very early in this work. And I really wasn't sure what to do with it until a bit later, where I was doing a kind of like mainstream coaching session, for lack of better terms. And I was working with a young lady who had a reoccurring challenge. For 10 years, she created dysfunctional relationships. Why? And as she's telling me this, I hear the subtone of resentment, anger, frustration. And so, being the curious natured person I am, the sage, right? I like, what, let's dig into that a little bit, and ended up, she had had a very volatile relationship with her father.
Mhm.
And so I said, listen, are you open to setting the intention to forgive and let go of the resentment that you're holding on to? Because this is what's creating the disharmonious relationships in your life. And she said, yes. And so from there, I'm like, I just got this idea. I'm going to play her a piece of music on forgiveness. I'd never played it before. And so out comes a piece of music. I recorded it in the studio. I sent it to her. And 3 days later, she calls me up, Mark, you're not going to believe this. I said, what's up? My dad called me today out of the blue. And he said, you know what? 10 years, way too long to have unresolved issues between us. Are you open to sitting down and talking about reconciliation and forgiveness? And she goes, you understand, my dad's like macho guy. He would never do that. I go, the biggest thing that we need to learn and realize is the outer is a reflection of the inner.
Mhm.
You want to change your outer world, the relationships, whatever, you change you. Then your resonance, your vibration, your energy communicates something differently to the field, and the field mirrors back accordingly to what it is that you're broadcasting. So it was then out of this experience, I'm like, maybe I'm onto something here. And that was the birth of the musical mantra, which are really intentionalized pieces of music that carry an intention, self-love, compassion, forgiveness, hormonal balance, vibrant health. All these pieces began to emerge as I started creating music for people that I was working with. And
Wow.
all out of that, in hearing that subline, or what did you call it, a timbre, I call it like a underlying frequency, came out of
Mhm.
that. And I started creating vibrational pieces that would align that energy and allow them to let go and transmute past unresolved traumas and bring them into alignment. When you're in alignment, you can play beautiful music. When the guitar's in tune, I can play beautiful music. If it's not in
Mhm.
tune, it doesn't matter how well I play. I am not
Right.
going to make beautiful music.
Right. There's a couple questions that came up in here, and I wonder, I'm going to read them. We'll see what comes up. So KB says, what different qualities surface with sound? And followed up by the question, what textures or vibrations do we overlook that are really meaningful to know about?
The vibrations I think that we overlook is the energy that we produce
Mhm.
ourselves. If we could
Whoa.
see the energy that emanates from us and how it impacts the world around us, we would be very mindful of who and what we were, our emotional states of being, those vibrations, because we can't hear them. Most
Mhm.
people can't hear them. We don't realize, we don't think they exist, but they do.
Mhm.
Your mind, and everybody likes to give the mind a bad time, but your mind is involved in the coding process that codes vibrational information, just like the CPU in your computer codes ones and zeros and puts it up on the screen so that we can experience this event, for example. Your
Mhm.
mind does the same thing. And so that's where we want to become very mindful of the belief structures that we hold on to, of those old stories that we made up from age 0 to 7. We've formed the foundation of our belief structures. Who knows what we bring in from past lineage DNA that's been handed down from our parents. Then we have experiences with family growing up, school, religion, education, medical, all these different all these different things that basically lay down many, I guess what we could call limiting beliefs that
Mhm.
in essence kind of hide the truth of what we are. So those are the most powerful vibrations of all, our own resonance. And because many of us are so busy thinking, caught up in the busyness of life, we don't realize what it is that we're putting out into the world and how important it is.
That we're each sort of our own little orchestra interacting with other orchestras. And
Yeah,
like
pretty
maybe the
much.
basketball player dropped their oboe on the way to the concert and is figuring out a tune.
Or, you're trying to play the guitar with 12-year-old rusted strings and it's out of tune.
Mhm.
And, it's like, that's why we have to become observers of our lives, because all of this gets mirrored back to us through our experience. Just like that young lady was experiencing 10 years of dissatisfaction or unable to create relationship,
Hmm.
um, and that's part of the beauty of this masterful design that we're in. We've all come here to play one of the most challenging games in the universe. I call it the cosmic game of hide and seek.
Peekaboo.
Hide, yeah, hide your divinity, hide your power, hide the truth of who and what you are, and then we get to spend a lifetime of reclaiming it. Much like Michelangelo was asked, "How did you carve David?" He said, "I didn't carve David. I just removed the pieces that were hiding the masterpiece in the block of marble. The masterpiece is already there. We just got to remove it."
Mhm. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Evelyn, it's
Mhm.
good to see you, boo. And Michaelson, I'm really glad that you're enjoying this conversation. I would love to hear a little bit about I had posted a video a while back of me planting some orgonite at the bottom of an EMF tower or like a 5G tower. And
Mhm.
you had said that you can transmute the energy that comes off of towers like that and EMFs in a number of different ways, one of them being sound. And so I'm super curious if you would elaborate on that a little bit, because you also said we can talk about it on the show. So I'm bringing it up now.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So basically, these disharmonious broadcasts, which really a 5G tower produces a disharmonious vibrational signature that transmits out into the environment.
Mhm.
That signature, that energy hits our biofield aura, however you choose to define it. Okay. It puts it into a disharmonious state. There are other things too. We carry a vibrational barrier, most of us, on us all the time, 24/7. It's a great energy disruptor. So, what the music and the energy in the music does, it has the ability to regulate, tune, and harmonize your field, regardless of what you're being exposed to in
Mhm.
the environment. So, yes, anything that is disharmonious can be made harmonious. We all have the innate ability to be able to do that. We just don't know. It's never been welcome as a possibility. Yes, you can put orgonite, and there are wonderful minerals that we have in the bedroom, for example, that are great for cleansing energy in these different aspects. But the most powerful energy cleanser is the energy within you that you can send out to things. You can send love to that tower. In this work over the years, and being able to do this, you can send a harmonizing frequency to a 5G tower and have it shift the energy that's coming out. And how I've been able to demonstrate that is, so when I went to that lecture with those scientists and I started playing, I saw people have a shift in their physical energy. When your body, your physical, super biological computer self is in tune, it's going to have an increase in strength, flexibility, endurance, coordination, and balance. 5 physical factors that are the outpicture of a harmonious field. You can introduce that energy into a 5G tower, and then you can demonstrate below it with a person that their energy shift instantaneously,
Mm.
allowing them to remain in a harmonious state regardless of what they're being exposed to in the environment. So in essence, it brings a new light to that saying, how can you be in the world but not of it? You
Mm-hmm.
know, everything broadcasts at 88.5, all the dysfunction, all the division, all the judgment, all the racism, all the, all the banter we get bombarded with at with the military, that too, but the media, you know. And what if you could move from 88.5 to 92.7? Then you're no longer receiving that broadcast. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the beauty of what happens when you harmonize your field. You can begin to move yourself out of that particular frequency wavelength where you're no longer, being negatively impacted by it.
So what I'm hearing is that we can tune ourselves to be vibrating at a different harmonic frequency that isn't even receptive to the other frequency. Like it's like changing the radio station of your own
Perfect.
harmonics so that the other ones, like you're like, yeah, it's there, but I'm on a different station.
Exactly. Because,
Mhm.
88.5 is still broadcasting, even though I'm tuned into 92.7.
And what's the significance of 92.7? Is that significant? I'm assuming
That's
it is because you said it.
That's just the number that came out. Usually I use
Okay.
like 102.7 or something else.
It
So
sounded like you were about
it's
to make
just
a
an
radio.
analogy.
Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. And then there's a question that came in. So I'm going to read a question from a guest, and then I have a
Okay,
question for you as well. So
sure.
Katie asked, what's the difference between healing with singing versus healing with an instrument?
The instrument. That's the difference.
That's it.
I use
Yeah.
a guitar, which I play much better than I sing. But
Hmm.
so here's the significance and the beauty of sound. Okay, so if you're bringing in a high vibrational frequency, you need to have something to bring it into the third dimensional world.
Yes.
Okay. I mean,
Hmm.
I guess I could like just sit here and fire up my Zoom cam and just stare at the camera and send energy, but that's not very entertaining, you know. So there are people that have beautiful voices, and what a wonderful vehicle to be able to send healing out into the world. Think about bowls, sound bowls, chimes, all these different aspects. I think a thing that people still need to realize is sound is programmable. You
Hmm.
can program it. I base it. It doesn't matter what notes I play or what type of music. What matters is the energy I put into it. I'm using the guitar and the sound that it produces to get the energy out into the world. You can use a voice, you can use gongs, you can use singing, you can use, you can make I used to make jewelry that had been infused with frequencies. You can use anything, basically to be able to bring the energy forward. My discovered my gift through music. I play much better than I sing, and so that's kind of my musical instrument of choice. But really, it just comes down. It's just the instrument. Whatever instrument you want to use is beautiful and it's perfect, and it's a great vehicle to convey energy. I always tell people who play bowls and stuff, man, put all the love you can into the bowl and let the music, the sound, carry it out into the world. And
Because
music,
it's like the fabric upon which the intention is writing.
and that's really well said. And it's interesting you say that, because when I was first starting on my journey, I had somebody say, oh, wow, you should go to this sound healing conference in Santa Fe. So I go to their website and watching these videos and all these like boring scientist guys with like white lab coats and stuff talking about sound. I'm like, oh man, there's no way I'm sitting through 2.5 days of that.
Mhm.
But then one guy said one thing. I caught it, total body shivers. And he said, music or sound is the carrier wave for intention.
Mhm.
So you can put intention into your voice, into your words. We're doing it all every day, anyways. And it just brings to mind There was a book a number of years ago, Power versus Force. The guy's name will come to me in a second. Dr. David Hawkins did a calibration of different states of being, and music was part of it. And there were
Mm-hmm.
certain musical pieces that would calibrate at a very high level. And there were certain like hate lyrics and stuff like that that would take energy away.
Right.
So, we want to be mindful of what it is that we're feeding our heart and soul with. So I always like tell people, do not watch the news, don't engage in that kind of stuff, because it's very heavy frequencies. And we don't want to live in heavy frequencies.
Well, if we take that analogy of each of us kind of being akin to a station, and if we're inputting something like the news or these lower vibrational contexts and putting it in, if that's what we're consuming, we are what we eat, we are what we see, we are what we hear. And then that also becomes the thing that we begin to emit from ourselves. And something that I recommend, I do it myself often, and I recommend it to other people, but I recommend a media dieta as well as like a sound dieta and a sight dieta. For like 30 days, be super careful with what you even let yourself hear, even in conversation, whether it be a podcast that you're accustomed to listening to, but it might be a lower vibration. Choose to listen to Mark's music instead, or choose to listen to sound healing instead, and just see what happens to your mind, to your body, to your emotional field if you abstain from those lower vibrating sounds and sights. I remember doing this. It was actually prompted by church when I was a teenager. I was driving age, I know that for sure. And for 30 days, for a month, we were all asked to not watch any TV and only listen to church music for those 30 days if we were going to listen to music. So I did that. And so for 30 days, the only thing I listened to was this EFY album. I could sing the whole thing to you right now. EFY is called Especially for Youth, and it's songs about God. So I listened to this album every day for 30 days. That was the only thing I listened to. I didn't watch any TV. And I remember the day that I broke this like dieta of sorts, or this abstinence of sorts, I was driving to school and I put on Weezer, and I felt like I fell off of a skyscraper. Like I went from vibrating way up here, and like, on the drive to school, I'm listening to this music, and it's not terribly bad. Like there's nothing really awful about Weezer, but it was such a significant difference that by the time I got to school, I like felt sick and I felt heavy. And I noticed that my thought patterns were also massively impacted by just having entertained the sound of this band. It was incredible.
Interesting. Yeah. And, and who knows what their state of being was. And people aren't even consciously aware of what they're broadcasting. Let's say you're down and out, you're feeling helpless in life or whatever, these things are going to impact your broadcast and what it is that you're resonating, and a big part of that. And because this first level of mental, emotional, and physical aspects of ourselves are, and this is where most people on this planet live, in those three areas. That's the scope of their reality, which, is understandable, because that's what we can experience through our senses and what we've been taught growing up, and all these different aspects. It isn't only until we begin to move beyond it that we see the vastness of who and what we are, in this potential that lies within us, that's available there for all of us. Like I said, if we could really see how powerful we are, well, it has the ability to scare the heck out of us,
Yeah. All right. So here's the question that I wanted to ask earlier, and it has to do with your creative process. So in the story that you shared earlier about having the woman come to you and having difficulty in relationships, and then you picked up in her timbre, her voice, in the discrepancy of alignment, that there was like resentment and some other things underlying this. And you were like, okay, I'm going to play some music that is the musical antidote to that frequency that's blocking you right now. When you sit down to start playing that, what's the process like for you? in the creation, do you find that you often play the same music, but spiritual or the thing this is what I'm trying to say. The thing that you're emoting is a different frequency, but the music is the same? Or do you find that it influences the kind of music that you're playing? What's that creative process like when you identify the targeted density in someone's energetics, and then you begin to play the music that is the antidote for that person or that situation? What's that creative process like?
It's not like I pre-prepare or anything like that. It's like, I get, okay, this person needs this. And then usually what I'll hear is a key. This is going to be in the key of B minor. This is going to be in the key of F. And I just start there. And then I think, as I mentioned earlier in our conversation, it's almost like the guitar plays me. So there's not a rehearsal. There's not, yes, I play many of these tunes that have been channeled out, but really it's a channeling is really what it is. And I'm just using these, whatever shows up. It's like, I'll always get a key. And then from there, we'll see where it goes, and again, I'm surprised where it goes. And sometimes it's almost like if I get myself out of the way, it's like really amazing stuff comes in, because there's always that part. Musicians can tend to be uptight. Oh my gosh, I buzzed on that string on the 3rd fret. We get all uptight about these different things that nobody ever hears but ourselves, and it's like, when you can get yourself out of the way, you can really become a clear vehicle for it to come through.
Absolutely. So it's like channeling.
Yeah, basically. I don't know. I don't channel words. I mean, I share messages that come through, and many times while I'm playing, but in essence, it really is. I have a whole music series that's all channeled pieces, over the years, everything from hormonal balance to self-love to forgiveness to, just all these different gratitude, different frequencies that we want to embody. But here's the most important thing. The most important thing is that the person needs to set the intention to embody that state. A nice little thunderstorm there. I guess there was some meaning behind that.
I am sure it was more muted on your guys' end, but that was like, I feel like that just struck the house. Anywho.
Well, see, it all came out with that about really in that particular aspect. I don't even remember what the heck I was saying now. I got caught up with the lightning there.
I was like, whoa. Yes. I did have a question. So for you as a human who is experiencing this medicine come through you and channeling this medicine, I can speak for myself as a musician that sometimes I'll be singing something and it's coming out of my body and I look around and I think, is anyone else hearing this? Like, this is crazy. Like the thing that's coming through my body, and it's like I'm being played, right? Like there's a frequency that wants to come through me and my vocal cords are the avenue through which it arrives. And even for myself in my body as it's coming through, like I let myself sort of be played like a whistle. And I'm stunned at what comes through me. And it reminds me of that quote. I can't really take credit for this. It's not mine, but thine. I'm simply just the vessel through which it came through today. And as something, I'm sure you've seen some really wild things occur because of the channeling that you're doing. So do you have an experience where even you were like, dude, did that just really happen?
It's interesting because when I do this healing work, it's like I'll go in and I'll start playing and, I'm there, I'm present. But when I end, it's like I have to come back. It's like, whoa. It's like, I know, I'm like, oh man, there was some power moving in that one, because if I'm like way out there on the ether somewhere and then all of a sudden I come back and realize that I definitely went some places. And, and that's really my primary like experience that I have. It's just a sense of, really being able to go out somewhere. It's like and then when I come back, I realize just how far I went.
Yes. Okay. This leads me to another question, and then I'm going to ask you to play another song. Something that I wonder all the time, are we really going out or are we going in? And is there a difference? Because oftentimes I'm struck by the vastness of my inner being. Sometimes I go in and I begin to explore in there. And I also perceive this has a lot to do with the frequency that we emanate and the channel that we're on. But sometimes in my inner diving, I realize that my inner world is actually, it is the universe and it's just as vast as that. And sometimes I can't tell if I've just gone so far inside somewhere that I ended up in the outer universe or if I traveled way out to the outer universe. I'm curious if you have any thoughts on that.
It's like how, all these words that we're using to describe this, they're very futile attempts to describe the undescribable, because
Exactly.
there is no separation. You made a comment earlier about, does the fish know it's in water?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you are the universe having
Mm-hmm.
an experience. You're inward. Yeah, I believe, yes, I believe that the heart here is the center. This is where we connect in, but the outer is a reflection of this. So is there really a separation? I don't think so. I really
I
don't.
don't think so either. It's the out and the in simultaneously. It's all one same thing.
Well, in some ways, if we've heard this, we live in a matrix. You realize we have senses that have been calibrated to receive very minute frequency wavelengths of
Mhm,
vibration. A certain range, we call it light. A certain
mhm,
range, we call it sound. A certain range, we call it smell, touch, all these different aspects, but those are vibration detectors,
mhm.
just as I really truly believe that if you want to know what your resonance is, tune into your feelings, you know
Uh-huh.
it's like somebody once I saw coin phrase, what emotion, energy in motion. You know,
Yes,
there is no bad or right or wrong emotional frequency. It just is. But obviously, we want to breathe out what no longer supports us, and we want to breathe in what gives us life and vibrancy.
absolutely. Absolutely. I have been in a lot of the work that I do, this just reminded me of it because it's so powerful. When we hit an emotional frequency, my perception is thoughts are frequency, emotions are frequency, and then experiences are frequency. So we can find ourselves hitting a certain emotional frequency, and then all of the thoughts that vibrate at that frequency suddenly consume our minds. And likewise, if you start thinking a certain thought, it induces the emotion, and then more thoughts that are of the like vibration come in. And it reminds me of that concept of like we're a channel, like what frequency are you tuned to? And the way thoughts and emotions and the physical wellness of your body are all one and the same. And your music and the creation and the channeling that you do in some way target all of that. It's transmuting for the emotional state, it's transmuting for the mental state, it's transmuting for the physical state as well as the spiritual state. And I think that's something that's so powerful about the work that you do.
Mm.
Another thing that I love about the work that you do is that because you're not using words when you play the music, it's the quickest way I would assume to bypass the ego. Because if
The
you
mind, yeah.
yeah, if you use too many words, then the mind and the ego can start to get tripped up on it and even start to hold on to certain frequencies that the goal is to let go of and let them come into a higher, different resonance.
Well, and that's part of the beauty of sound or music or vocals or guitar or whatever, is that it bypasses, because remember, the mind uses words, and
Mhm,
words have different meanings for different people.
mhm,
Semantics, all these different things. One line said one word might mean something to one person and something completely different to another. And that's the beauty of working with sound. and that's basically how we create, how the universe was set in motion.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because Dr. Jones, the gentleman who discovered the frequencies in my music, he transitioned a number of years ago now. I'm not sure how long ago, but I was kind of out in the wilderness and I wasn't really asking a lot of questions. What am I doing here? What is this all about? How do I really bring this forward to support people and really fulfill this that's been etched upon my heart and soul? And around that time, a friend of mine sent me this video and I hear this quote and I heard it and I completely reverberated with it. And the
Mm-hmm.
quote was this. It says, people think we need to seek enlightenment. No, we are enlightened. That is our natural state. What is
Uh-huh.
unnatural is the state that we have been put into. We need to rise above the vibrational barriers and the limiting belief systems that are holding us in a state of unenlightenment. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about seeking it. It's about removing what is stopping us from being what we already are. You already are enlightened. You already are a beautiful projection of universal source energy. What I'm doing is creating tools that people can use, like a screwdriver, a hammer, or whatever, to reveal this magical within themselves. We have to quiet down the static and noise from all of our technology and the stuff and not
Mm-hmm.
being impacted by it so that we can bring our energy into alignment and to tune. And then, of course, we need to deal with the most powerful energy disruptor in the universe, those stories of lack, limitation, I don't deserve, the beautiful things that we all have to one degree or another. Hey, if you're here having a human experience, you've got them. Great. And we get a whole lifetime guarantee of being able to have plenty of opportunity to release them and let them go. It's
Wow.
part of this cosmic design, at least here on this game board of planet Earth where it is right now.
It's true. I feel like we barely scratched the surface of the wisdom that's in your being, and we're at our hour mark. So, but I definitely want to have you back on again because I'm also seeing that there are a lot of people who are very interested in learning more about sound and how to harmonize the body. So, I would love to have you back on if you're open to that in the near
Sure,
future.
absolutely. Love
Yeah,
to.
I really love the medicine that you have to offer. And Kelly Brickle, this one's for you. I'm going to have Mark close us out, but I want him on the full screen.
Putting the pressure on now.
No, there's no pressure. There's no pressure. I
I'm
just thought
kidding.
people should be able to witness you. And if you guys are interested in learning more about Mark Romero, he has a lot of music on Facebook and Instagram and on his website. You can find him at Mark Romero Music on all of those platforms. He also has a website, markromero.com, markromeromusic.com. Is that correct?
Yep.
And for all of you that are here right now, if you look at the bottom of the screen, it says markromeromusic.com/gift. And if you go there right now, you'll get a free download of his music. And if you are currently in Southern California, Mark has an event coming up. Did you say next month?
Oh, just it's actually an online event. I didn't have, if they come on, if they access the gift, they'll be notified of this event. Next week, I'm doing a program entitled "Heal Your Life at the Speed of Sound," and it's all focused on healing and restoration. So,
Heal Your Life at the Speed of Sound by Mark Romero. It's next week. It's online. You can get the information for that if you go to markromeromusic.com/gift. I feel like a real radio announcer right now.
You did great. You did great. Who knew? Come a long way from yoga instructor.
I don't know. I think that helped me get here. But anyways,
I'm sure it did.
I'd like to release all of the people listening right now. Get comfortable, get settled. And what is it? Jay Weezy, this one's for you, bro.
So cool. And it's like I always bookend my healing sessions and what I do. So we opened with opening, obviously, and this piece is all about grounding and grounding the pieces, the insights, the inspiration, the information that presented itself to you, to anchor that in to help you to move forward from wherever you're at right now. And there's always a little message that comes through, so we'll see what arises. And I invite you just to take some nice deep breaths. Just breathe deeply. Open mouth inhales and exhales. Just breathe. And just gently breathe in these notes. And remember that who you are matters. And there's this beautiful power light and gift that's yours and yours alone to share, to shine, and to reflect into this world. Let's take another deep breath. So if you're able, just put your hand on your heart space. Take the biggest inhale you've taken all day. Open mouth, just let it go. And I invite you to take on an act of self-kindness, an act of self-love. Keep it simple, keep it sweet. Set into motion where we've gone today, the energy that we've worked with, the discussion that we've had, and then look to see how life responds. Follow any synchronicities, any ahas, creative ideas. I guarantee you something will show up in your experience, and follow those breadcrumbs. They're going to lead you on an amazing journey. So there you go. Oh, you're muted. There you are.
Yeah, I'm back. Thank you, Mark. And thank you so much, everyone, for witnessing and watching. You've heard me say it before, but I'll say it again. Your attention is absolutely precious. And I am so grateful that you chose to give your attention to this space today and to this beautiful musician, this artist, and this sage. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. Blessings be.
Thank you. Take care.